go through the difficult term first so that we are on the same page. Then we discuss the facts. Usma, you can start first.
Okay, I'll record and also add ideas if needed.
I will start first. One difficult term I found is heavy metals, which are metals that become toxic when the concentration is too high. Another one is copper, since it's the main metal mentioned in the trigger. Then lead, which is also toxic, and zinc, which appears in contaminated waterways.
Okay, saya setuju. Bagi saya kan, I found more extra term on pollution source like stormwater runoff, which carries pollution from land into the harbor. Then industrial water, meaning wastewater from factories. Another term is contaminated. Macam kuasa ini polluted with a harmful substance and concentration, which refers to how much of a substance is present.
I see what you mean. Some difficult term I found are more at the location and environment. One term is base, where samples will collect. The motorized watercraft since boat also release pollutant. Another is environmental pollution, which are harmful substances in the environment and marine habits with marine organism life.
Mine are more biology related. Crustaceans are small aquatic animals that feed on algae. Offspring refers to the young, then laboratory experiment, which are controlled tests, and field experiment, which are done in natural environment.
Okay, so there are some difficult terms that I found, so I'll add mine. So one is grazing amphipods, the small shrimp-like animals feeding on algae. And then I have food chain, which shows how organisms depend on each other. Last but not least, I have bioaccumulate, means metals building up inside organisms over time. And lastly, Sydney Harbour, which is the study area.
Alright, that covers our 20 terms. Now let's move to the facts. For the first facts, the seaweeds in Sydney Harbour contain extremely high level of copper and lead. So the learning issues here are what are the normal background levels are, how this metal enter the harbour, and why seaweeds absorb so much metal.
Yes, that makes sense. So for the action plan, we can look at the previous studies on metal contamination and reports on Sydney Harbour to identify the main source and patterns.
I would like to give you the next facts. That is copper level in some parts of Sydney Harbour as high as those in the world most polluted waterways. The leading issue is how these components are made and what cases so high level locally.
I see what you mean. So for the action plan, we can try to compare the metal concentration data from other polluted areas and try to relate it to water circulation and human activities in Sydney Harbour.
Next fact, I found that exposure to copper can kill up to 75% of crustacean offspring. So the learning issues would be how copper affect early life stage and what level is considered toxic.
Right, to address that, we can review lab and field studies on copper toxicity and identify safe threshold. Then suggest reducing copper discharge below those levels.
Okay, this is another fact where some bays are more contaminated than others. The learning issue here are why certain bays trap more pollution and how enclosed bay structure affect metal accumulation.
Yeah, that's true. For the action plan, we can study water flow in those bays and focus pollution control and clean up effort on the high risk one.
Okay, next fact that I found is there's also heavy metals enter Sydney Harbour through stormwater runoff, industrial discharge, and motorized watercraft. The learning issues are how much each source contributes and whether current controls are effective.
I agree. So the action plan would be reviewing pollutant pathway and existing regulations, then suggesting stricter enforcement and better waste management. Sorry.
Alright, another fact is that high copper levels are linked to a low number of grazing amphipods. The learning issues are how copper affects the survival and why amphipods are important in the ecosystem.
Yeah, I agree. For the action plan, we can try to look at ecological studies on amphipods and focus on reducing copper pollution so their populations can recover.
Last fact is that pollution may indirectly affect organisms higher up the food chains. So the remaining issue will be how metal move through the food chain and the long-term effect on the ecosystem.
Yes, I get what you mean. For the action plan, we can study trophic transfer of metal and protect lower level organisms to maintain food chain stability.
Study.
Okay, I think that covers everything.
Okay, so now all noted. I will try to organize it into the fila table later.
Alright, thanks everyone.